Welcome to Non-Judgmental, brought to you by Being Seen and the Pride State.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast, Non-Judgmental, sponsored by Being Seen and the Prime State. Today, I have Prachi joining in. Welcome to the podcast, Prachi.
Hi, Ankush. Thanks for having me here.
I am more excited to be on this episode because there's a lot of questions that did go back in my head. Okay, you know what? Just to let our viewers and listeners and audience to know, Prachi is a data scientist and also a life coach. I would love to, have a small background of yours of how did you transform from being a data scientist to a life coach?
Sure, Ankush. Thanks once again. So let me begin with the thought that I was never thought of being a data scientist in the first place when I joined, the software thing at all. So I am from a very small town in Maharashtra, and I born and brought up in a usual middle class family where you get a basic education and then you have to move out of the family to get your further education, as the entire thing is not available in your own town. And then
Right,
then I pursued my graduation in computer science. And then there was a question, should I immediately start working? As there was a, we can say, thought in me since early childhood that I have to work, I want to work and, be independent, all that. But exactly when I graduated in 2009, and 2008 recession was still having on us. So we were still having
yeah,
that recession over us. And then my family pushed me towards post graduation, and let's say, okay, let's do the post graduation. And there my journey started as a computer scientist, to be honest. And as everyone does, I started with a small startup. IT was not that in boom back then, and data science was
right,
never in a picture. Like, no one would have thought data science could be a career.
right,
And then I started as a usual IT software engineer. I moved to this data science, and now when I'm, after 13 years of my entire experience, when I see where I started, see back in the time, I really feel that there were times where I was in dilemma, which path to choose. Will this path will end at the right place? Will I Should I continue as a software being a software developer? Because till the time, okay, being a software developer was a norm. So I was going towards the norm. Till then everything was fine. But in the middle of the career, there was a choice to go for a data science role or not. And it was very difficult to choose, in that dilemma. And somehow I chose to become a data scientist. And here I am. Later,
right,
so I felt like, okay, this was my struggle, coming from a family where you don't know much about, this different kind of streams. And nowadays there are so many streams available. Back in our
right.
child, there were like engineering and medical. There was the only two famous things which we can go about. So then I wondered, what if I can be helpful to someone, if I could help someone who is also there in the same place as I was. And that's how
Right,
that thought of life coaching came in my mind.
right.
So this is how
That's
I ended up a
wonderful.
life coach.
I mean, that's very inspiring. I mean, coming from a small town, I can completely relate with you for that matter because every now and then for your education, even I was out for a really quite long time, I would say. I barely might have completed my first, second, or somewhere that in my hometown. And since then, I was always a product of a boarding school. I've always been out. I can completely relate to that. And it's very inspiring that, people coming from the background of small town and maybe not have that exposure that the people in tier 1 cities already have a lot compared to what we had, I mean, or we still have now that, even in the tier 2, tier 3, or the small towns also have a little exposure due to social media and all the internet access. People at least know what is to be done, but back then it was clearly a big dilemma. Even I have come across places where I started as my career into sales. After a certain time, I said, I'm not enjoying this work. I really need to think of some switch in my career because this work of sales is not what maybe that was not my cup of tea.
Right.
So I exactly want to know what a life coach does and how they help a person shape their career. Because usually life coach, I mean, I have heard of life coach, but I never had an idea of what exactly they do, how they help a individual shape their own life.
Right. I guess the phrase you used second time was a perfect one. How they used to shape their life, but not only career. I
Right.
started this life coaching thing, I can say this process of being a life coach, considering this career dilemma and many more things in mind. But once I got into it completely, I understood it has been changing people's life, not just the career and the professional goals, but the personal goals as well. So, to define in one sentence, life coaching is the process where an individual thinks of something of he or she can be, but right now it's not in that place. So he or
Mhm.
she has some picture, or we can say something in mind that okay, I want to this, I want to be this in any ways, like emotionally, physically, mentally, professionally, but not right exactly in the current place right now. Life coaches help that individual to take from what it is current stage to the stage he desires. So we can say, in simpler terms, we can say life coach could be a guide, but again, there is a bit difference between guidance and coaching. In guidance, mostly it's come through your own experiences, but the coaching is entirely dependent on the individual. So it's not coming from my experience. Say I'm a life coach and I'm coaching someone. So not sure or not necessarily I am experienced in the area which the person is desiring to be. But still I can coach that person to go to that design because the answers come from the individual and not from the coaches.
Right. I'm sure you might have worked with a lot of clients, helping them achieve their own set of goals, professional or personal goals. But I also want to know, is there a time where you found things to be different or difficult helping to deal with certain person?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could say that. No, I have seen people coming to a life coach with a certain goal in mind. But when you start digging up that person or questioning that person, so what a coach do is they question. And the question, if that question lands correctly, the answer is exactly there. So sometimes it has happened. The person has came to me asking a entirely different question, and when we started
Mm.
digging it, the answer lied into an entirely different world. I can give you an example.
Yes, please.
There was one client of mine.
Hmm.
She recently, been like she was a recent mother. She was recently experiencing the motherhood, and she has left her job, and for that process entirely. And now, like her child was in a good place, and now the child had started to go to the play groups and all that. So now she was willing to join, her work again. She was thinking to join her
Right.
work again, and she was in dilemma, and she also drawn one offer as well for herself. Like she had offer in hand, and that is like within a month she had to join there. She was in a dilemma that whether she should join that place or she should continue taking care of her child. That was the statement, for we can say, that was the
Yeah.
dilemma, and I was supposed to help her out in that situation. Later on in discussion, the thing came out was so surprising for her as well, and of course for me as well. The willingness of not to join the job was not the kid or the responsibilities of the kid, but it was more light in her childhood, and she was a single child and being pampered, and how she became introvert after that. And now she was at home again since couple of years now, and that introvert thing has poked up again, and that was
Hmm.
causing the fear to rejoin the place or start any
Right.
new beginning. So when she could figure out the root cause, she could work out and she could happily join the job along with taking care of her kid. So that's how surprising results can come from the life coaching. So it's not only about professional or career thing, it could be anything. Like
Right.
this was so emotional thing to her. Literally one of the sessions she broke down and she cried, oh, finally I got the root cause. So these kind of moments feels of a life coach, like more than a life coach, you are solving the greater problems than just a career journey.
Right. Because when you spoke about your client, that, the root cause was somewhere down in the childhood that he or she might have suffered. That relates me to the episode that we had recorded previously with
Right.
Josephine, where we spoke about, yeah, where we spoke about how anything that happens emotionally or physically, whatever happens in your childhood, if that has left a scar on you, you still carry it in adulthood without realizing that is the root cause and that is what is affecting you.
Exactly.
So I had a lot of examples that I did give to her about the same, that how, things affected. Because honestly, I never knew that there is something called a childhood trauma that would, bring me to this stage. And I, honestly speaking, I still have a lots and lots of fears when I am fully ready with, I'm still afraid of being into a job, because I always have the fear that no matter what, I'll make mistakes. And that's when I never happened to have good set of team, because I never had to have that positive work space. But when I looked back into myself, I did realize the fear of I am not I mean, I'm not fearful that I'll be responsible for some things. But because I've always been questioned for my choices, for the way the decisions I've taken in my life, that has led me to a big, big fear that, oh, it's better that I avoid it rather than just going up front and facing it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, those things literally have so much impact on us. When I joined this life coaching thing, I mean, taking education of this life coach, I have grown as a person by myself. I also had some limiting beliefs, you can say. In life coaching, there is a
Mhm.
term called limiting beliefs. I also been rejected quite a few times since my childhood. I was the most introvert person. Like my relatives used to say that this girl could never live without her mom. So that kind of person
Right.
I was. And now it's like it has completely taken away from me those things. So I really, really believe that, a life coach can help you through your entire journey. So the first thing I believe in, life coach can help you to build your confidence. So it's a little
Right.
bit different than, therapy and counseling, I would say, wherein you need actual medical education or clinical education. So here you deal with the person on the, we can say, mental level morally, but again, it's to talk therapy a bit.
Right. If you can draw a line between understanding how life coach is different than the therapy, because there would be, from an audience perspective, I believe it would be as similar to that, because now I have an idea what, life coach actually does and how it is going to be helpful. But also, I want you to draw a line that can differentiate between how it is different than the therapy.
Yeah, I would say there is actually, like, they are similar in some manner, but there are visible differences in coaching and therapy both. First, talking on the terms that, okay, therapy is mostly it needs, clinical things. It's, I would say, you need to be a psychologist, or you have to study those paths when you have to be a therapist. But whereas life coach is a entirely different thing. So how can I can give an example. So if some
Yes,
person
please.
comes to me with an anxiety, okay, some person mentions to me, I could see my, hands and legs sweating, hands and palms sweating while I speak, publicly. I feel that pressure in mind. So
Right.
here comes the difference. So I can help as a life coach to that person to understand the root cause of that fear.
Hmm.
What exactly is stop causing that fear? But I cannot tell that person what can stop that, the symptoms of anxiety. So there you need
Right.
the medical help, the therapy. So that's the thin line between therapy and life coaching. And also life coaching can't deal with trauma, and uh, the way you have been, brought up or things. We could just figure out the root cause, but we cannot treat it.
Right.
We can help people to figure out what exactly they are now, why they are facing this, or rather than that, life, to sum up in a single word, life coaching deals with present and future, whereas therapy uh, can deal with,
Deal.
past as well.
Right.
So we need an, at least a proper goal in mind. Okay, right now I'm here and I wish to be there. That should come from an individual. Then a life coach can help.
Right. I want to, give an example of my own to understand, and our viewers and listeners to understand if this is what I have understood the difference between life coach and the therapy. For example, life coach will help me. For example, I want to lose weight in a couple of months, and I have been procrastinating it from a really long time. Every time I say I'll push it, oh, it's okay, I'll do it later, oh, this is gonna happen. I just keep on pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, without realizing why am I pushing it.
Right.
I mean, why am I finding it difficult? So difficult to just wake up and complete a 5,000 steps a day. It's not a huge task. I know that. But still, for some reason, I'll be pushing it further. Now, as a life coach, you will help me out to understand the reason why I am procrastinating or why I am being that lazy. And maybe you'll help me motivate and change my mentality towards it, and give me a little bit of self awareness that how should I be, like how should I deal if in near future or in present if I'm thinking of procrastinating things again, like pushing it further for no valid reason. That is when I believe you will come into the picture and help us out to feel that motivation and to get along on the journey. And
Exactly. So, yeah, yeah, please continue.
Mhm.
Not
I
just
just
that, I mean, I
Mhm.
just would like to add a bit to it. We'll, of
Yes, please.
course, help you to recognize the real issue, real problem, or real cause of the procrastination. We'll help you out till the time you reach your desired weight
Core.
or desired goal in this manner. So,
Right.
we'll be there, we'll set, your path, we'll keep questioning you. Did you follow this diet today? Maybe I'm not a dietitian, or I'm not a, you can say, the person who helps you with the gym, but I
Yeah.
am the person who can question you every now and then what exactly
Right.
happened. We both take that responsibility together.
Right.
So that's how it happened.
Yeah, so I am happy that I actually understood what, as what life coach does and how important it is in today's world. Because you see, there are, as you said, right? Earlier, there were no much career options, and when we were graduating, we still had a couple of options. But now that the students who are graduating very recently or will graduate in a couple of years have a vast level of careers to choose with. Now there is no concept ki le या उसमें ये नहीं है उसमें वो नहीं है. Now every small thing that you are doing, and if you have that right set of skills and the talent, nobody can stop you from being successful in your own field. I mean, whatever path you have chosen for. But earlier it was not the same for everybody because there were limited set of careers that were there. And
Exactly.
now I believe how you can play a very important role as a life coach to help people choose the right path, because I still find a lot of people, because I have delivered a couple of guest lectures on subjects and topics into various schools, sorry, various colleges. So I believe most of them are still not clear with what they actually want in their life. And then
Exactly.
when they post graduate, when they are into some jobs, either they are doing it because it has been forced or they have the responsibility to earn irrespective of what they are mentally facing. They're forced to do it, or either they're just happy lying down doing nothing in their lives. So I can find these two people, and very rarely I have seen people, those who are actually, have chosen the right career for themselves that they actually wanted. They've done that self analysis to understand what they actually want in life.
Yeah. I could also mention one thing here. It is sometimes really difficult when you are at that age. Even if you have a life coach, it becomes little difficult and tricky till the time you have not explored many paths. So you need certain
Right.
amount of experience, the taste of real world to exactly, make sure what you want from inside. So I would say life coach is more impactful. There is little difference again when you at the beginning of the career, what you need a guide, you need a
Yeah.
person expertise from that particular industry, educate you from their experiences. But
Right.
when you need a life coach is almost in the middle of the career, where you have been, 5 6 of years of experience in your industry, whatever industry you choose, and
Right.
now you are at the place where, people may start families, people may start getting the loans on their heads, and at that phase you are in the dilemma. What should be the next step. This is not what I have thought of my life should be. You are
Right.
tasted the real world. So now there you can see multiple paths, and you are, not aware where to go. You are not sure where to move. That's where
Right.
we can help you. Like, that's how I started life coaching, basically. And not only this career, if you allow me to give one more example,
Yes, please.
I can see we are talking about career and profession a lot. So just to explain about the, you can say, wide or broadness of the life coaching area.
Yes.
I recently dealt with a client in couple of days back only. That person was almost in his 60s, and
Okay.
he was facing an issue that is feeling lately. He is feeling detached from his own family, and he
Okay.
doesn't seem that detachment is proving good for himself or the family, like, his daughter, his wife, and that is making them feel not good. He's being detached from his family, and he was on the edge, asking me, should I get completely detached? Is it good for me, or should I be attached to my family? And the reason I am here, because I feel attachment could hurt, expectation hurts, and detachment will leave me, away from this expectation and could make me happy. But still, I don't want to be detached, because some level might not feel happy about detachment.
Right.
And that's the depth of life coach can deal with. So we started
Yes.
the discussion from that, and that discussion really, really landed really well. I'm glad I could help that person to recognize we are yet left with more coaching sessions, but still the person is on the correct path. He was happy after the first session that okay, he could see some future in other discussions.
Right.
So that's how life coach can cover the area from choosing your career to the different spiritual path.
Right. I am just stuck realizing, I mean, I'm just taking that one thing that in the 60s also, I mean, everybody has their own level of dependency or own level of experience, just due to which at certain age they might feel the way they are feeling right now.
Right.
So I was a little stuck with thinking that even at the age of 60, if a person can deal with so much of, I would say this is such a big question when it comes to, I mean, you have lived your entire maybe 40 years of your life with the same set of people, and you are questioning that is attachment going to be good for you or for them, or it is better to detach, was a little surprising. And I really wish good luck to your client and for you, so that you help him out get a beautiful path and the right path that is for him, that is designed for him. Because I was always giving you the examples of career, because that is what I was stuck. If you ask me 2 years back down the line, I was in dilemma because I was working, but I was like, this is not what I want from my life. I mean, that's actually when I got in, when there was a collaboration between Bean Scene and the Prime State, and when I happened to talk to you, is when actually, in the first meeting, I never dared to ask you, can you please excuse me? Can you please tell me what does a life coach do? So I never dared to do so. But I believe you still remember the very first call that I had with you. The very first question after the formal greeting was like, can you please tell me what life coach is? Maybe in the podcast I'll get to know more about it. But so yeah, this is I very soon I'll be coming as your client.
I'm happy to help you.
But it is very, I believe these things have been very challenging. I mean, if a person in 60s can feel, I'm still processing that entire thing okay, this is not, because usually what happens is my in my college days, my friends used to tease a lot that because they were 96 or 95 and I was 98 born, so there was always banter between the two. You're 98 born, another couple of years you'll understand what life is, and then you'll stop ranting about things. Once you cross that, then I was like, why will somebody stop ranting about the life? Not tomorrow that nothing is going to happen. There'll be something or the other that I'll have to rant about. But eventually, I learned the art of letting go of things, of people. But in a very hard way, I learned it. But yeah, I did learn it. And now when they call back, like, how is that you don't have anything to rant? I said, what is there to rant about? My life is all good right now. Do you think that positive affirmations and everything that helps a person to change their perspective towards life?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Anything you think, you become. That is for sure. I mean, no second thought for that at all. So whatever, even if there are so many negative situations, there is so much to rant about, as you mentioned. But it's us how we look at it.
Right.
So I have
And it
been
is
through
so.
an yeah.
Mhm.
Tell me, tell
Yes,
me.
please tell me.
No, I was just speaking. We what we discussed today was my career aspirations, my journey towards the career. My personal life was
Right.
exactly 180-degree opposite to that. I have seen in my personal life,
Right.
that was I can say that plays a bigger role. Me becoming a life coach and helping out people, but we can discuss that someday later because it's a very huge thing. I would say, but
Yeah.
it's just a perspective you see, and whatever
And
you
it is
tell
very
yourself, you become.
and it is very important to have that perspective. I have changed my perception towards the life this year, honestly speaking. That was my motto, that I am like the resolution that we all take, that I am gonna shift to from a negative perspective to a little more positive every time everything comes in, a little more positive. And that's how I believe 2024 has been great for me till today. Now there are a couple of more days left. I'm sure it'll be still wonderful for me. This actually reminds, I never actually knew if your affirmations and positive thinking about yourself and speaking out that, this is what you want to be. Because you said you do help. Life coach is the person who helps you. I believe you will bridge that gap for the person who is stuck in between. Like he knows that is his destination, but there's a huge see, maybe that is their fears, or maybe that is something that is stopping them. Like as I said, procrastinating also plays a very important role. People do that. So maybe you bridge that gap. This reminds me of how beautiful I have changed my own perspective of life towards, because I last year, while taking the resolution, I had told myself that I will be somewhere in the under 30 wala awards category that happens, right? And I got a call today in the morning that I am the final contestant for under our podcast is going to be ranked, hopefully, if I end up getting that award.
Many congratulations to you. That's a
Thank
big
you.
achievement. That's a big achievement.
Right. And since morning I'm on cloud nine, but to be that calm and patient and just it's been very difficult. I've been all over the place. आज मैंने दिल खोल के नाश्ता किया है. Like usually I do, but today I was like all over the places. I want to eat this. This is my best thing. I want to enjoy it to the fullest. So yeah, I've been all over the place, just thinking and imagining ki, even though I have not yet received it, or I am not sure if I am gonna be there, but I believe it is set of achievement for me, that even if it is a smaller achievement, that at least people could recognize my voice and my strength and where we actually stand. I'm sure we are trying to build a very big community, not just big, a community of genuine people, I feel.
Right.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we come to an end?
Just one thing. You reminded me of that thing that you mentioned, that you are on cloud nine since you heard that you're nominated for the award. You know what? My entire day after this podcast will be like yours now. Because I was so waiting for this podcast to happen and to tell people what life coach is and how it has changed my life and it can change your lives too, it's not for elite. It's not, it's beyond boundaries, anyone and everyone needs a life coach in a manner or
Right,
other. So please come forward, just taste it at least once. I would say you will feel the difference. It's such a
right.
beautiful thing to have a coach in life. I'm really, so glad that we had this podcast, and I'm so happy that I could express my thoughts.
I am actually sorry for, delaying, because of there were so many things. It has been delayed for almost 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we had our logistics issues as well. So that's great.
Yeah, but I am so happy and glad that we did record this episode. And I'm more than happy that I could understand. And, I'm sure a lot of them would have understood what exactly and how beautifully you can help them transform their entire life. Because talking to you also felt therapeutic, not just therapeutic, but at least understanding that This is so much important in life as well, to have a life coach that is going to help you transform your entire life.
It is. It
So
is.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for being here. By the way, this is the second episode I'm recording right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. You did already one this morning.
Yes,
Cool.
I just finished, and this is the second we are recording.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Prachi, for joining.
Thank you,
It was
Ankush, for
great,
having
great
me
talking.
here. It's nice talking to you. Have a nice day and wish you good luck for your award.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you.
you. Bye.